the Broncos actually sold to the Walton family for $4.65 billion, by far and away, I believe, doubling up David Tepper's previous high of the Panthers purchase of the Panthers, 2.25 million or maybe 2.52 million. Either way, blowing out of the water the previous record for an NFL purchase. I mean, this is like, I think this is going to have ramifications across the league. Maybe not from a like the average fan who just wants to watch football will care about, but from a what we might see in terms of ownership change across the NFL ramifications, which will mean a lot for certain fan bases. For instance, if you are, I'm trying to think of the best example. I think the best example is probably the Spanos family with the Chargers. Do you sell the Chargers for $4.5 billion right now? You do, right?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I mean, if you're Mark Davis.
Or what if you're Daniel Snyder?
There you go.
I mean, he is not he is one of the poorer billionaires in the NFL. He's under a lot of scrutiny for stuff that went on under his watch, and his name has actually been included in some of those allegations. And I think someone had mentioned this in previous owners meetings. He's not well liked by owners, like as well liked as some other owners are.
Daniel Snyder.
Well,
so I think they like him in the sense that he's been around for a while. He's part of the club. He is all about business. He works well with all the other owners, and his team sucks constantly. The owners love guys like that because they're not competitive on the field. They don't burn them off the field. But now this stuff is starting to hurt. Like now that he's like allegedly taking money from other owners, all of a sudden I think it's flipped completely. And so, yeah, like that's a great example. If you're Dan Snyder, you don't want to sell the Washington team. But if you're being forced, if you feel like
$4.6 million, you do.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden, if you're thinking like, all right, I might be forced to sell, and if you're forced to sell, it changes the valuation, right? Like you're not going to get as much as you want when you're forced to sell. If you're like, you know what, we're putting the Washington team out there. We got a name change. We got a new head coach. We got rid of all the old stigmas. You can come in and be, take over. I don't think Daniel Snyder wants to, but there's a possibility that he has to in the future. Maybe he thinks about doing it. He's top 20 per the latest rankings from John Breach. I wonder where he got this. Where did Breach get this from? From Forbes. He was top 20 in terms of NFL owners. In fact, top 15 at $4 billion. So like he wouldn't have to do it, but like a team, like a family, like I'm trying to find an actual article that lists everyone instead of John Breach's crap article here. Here we go. An updated one. For instance, 32, the Green Bay Packers. This is for Pro Football Network. 31, Mark Davis, net worth $500 million. The only issue with Mark Davis is I don't think he would want to sell because he believes like trying to win after his father's legacy. And he grew up being a Raiders guy. Like, I don't think he would want to do that. And he moved to Las Vegas and got the new stadium. But if you're Mark Davis and you think you can get $4 billion, I mean, or even $3.5 billion, and you got a huge new stadium and you got a very you got a attractive franchise in terms of a, brand perspective, you have to at least think about it.
Yeah, no, that's right. There are obviously a lot of things at play there. $500 million, excuse me, doesn't sound like a lot of money. That you can live off $500,000 quite comfortably.
Yes, you can. The problem is most of the people at the bottom of this list, the Spanos had net worth $2.4 billion. I mean, they're really cheap for.
Like, I don't think the Roonies are.
The Roonies are actually below. They're 28th according to Pro Football Network. Net worth $500 million to $1 billion. But
that's all in the Steelers. That's that.
Yeah. But they would never
say never. But
Steelers.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think so. I mean, there's still Roonies in the organization, up and down it. So they're doesn't look like they're going anywhere.
I mean, Art Rudy Jr. is did he pass?
No,
Yeah.
Dan Rooney.
Dan Rooney, who is Art Rooney II's dad. Right. Dan Rooney passed.
That's right.
Yes. Okay. Just making sure I didn't. I mean, I was
Art
pretty
Rooney,
sure.
Art Rooney the second, by the way. That's how he goes.
Art Rooney II.
The second, yes.
Okay, whatever.
Art
Rooney II. Art Rooney the second, excuse me. I don't think I think he would feel haunted if he sold the Steelers, even if he made $4 billion. And they have lots of minority owners too, so that might not work. Like, are the McCaskies going to sell the Bears?
Well, Dan Rooney Jr. is also in the front office now. So, I mean, they're folks, like I said, up and down the.
Yeah. I mean, like, but George McCaskey's the president of the Bears. I just mean it's a little hard to find teams that would actually want to sell. Like Ziggy Wilf. The Wilfs are 26 on this list. But
they're relatively new owners as well, though, like last 20 years, right?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah, I feel like they bought the team not too long ago.
Right. I mean, would they flip this team to make $3 billion? Maybe.
They might.
Amy Adams Strunk, that feels like a good spot. I mean, Bud Adams would haunt you haunt your life, but I just wonder how many of these people, because of how the teams running the family would be willing to
Wilf and five partners bought the Minnesota Vikings in 2005 from Red McCombs. How much do you think they paid for the Vikings in 2005?
$750,000.
$750,000?
I don't know. Sorry, $750 million.
You could have bought the Vikings. You're close. $600 million.
$750,000.
Jeez. $7.50.
Under.
Yeah, 600 million 17 years ago now.
I'll tell you who should sell. Freaking Haslam's.
They're burning. I mean, they have money to burn. What else are they going to do?
I could see Gail Benson selling the Saints.
All right.
She didn't need the money, but it's like.
But you have to understand, and this is sort of what happened. I think this is what happened with Denver. Like when there are family members involved, it's not just easy. It's not just as simple as one person saying, "We're out. I'm out."
Right. Pat Bowlen, if he hadn't gotten sick, and then obviously passed, he never would have sold the Broncos. Like if he were still just in good health and alive, he would. The Broncos wouldn't have sold for this.
And I think there were conversations about family members' involvement after he died, and
it's a disaster.
Right. That's what I thought. I don't follow like the ownership stuff closely.
No, there were like 5 or 6 members of the Bowlen Trust who were battling. Brittany Bowlen was the top one, battling to try and get the team, and like no one could meet the criteria to run the team based on what the league wanted. Plus, the league wanted a team to sell for this much. And by the way, David Tepper, like Pro Football. Oh, I forgot about the Allen Trust. Like Jody Allen could sell the Seahawks. Don't really need to because you got $20 billion. But David Tepper is the largest single individual, the wealthiest single individual owner at $16 billion or so.
That's about to change.
Rob Walton, $60 billion. And by the way, his mom, I believe, is married to Stan Kroenke, which everyone's conveniently.
Yeah, but Breach talked about the relationship between because there are cousins in there too. By the way, Pat Bowlen bought the Broncos in 1984. What do you think he paid 1984? So 2005, the Vikings went
$750,000.
2005
million.
2005, the Vikings went for $600 million. 84, Pat Bowlen paid $70 million.
$70 million. That's a lot in 84, man.
By the way, Rob Walton's 77 years old.
Yeah.
So he's
got here. I mean, I'm sure with a purchase like this of $4+ billion, you're coming in with a succession plan already.
No, I get that. It's just that he's not a spring chicken. I think Jerry Jones is close in age to Rob Walton, late 70s.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's been the owner since 89.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this. I don't think this is a crazy suggestion, but I think that Russell Wilson, the trade for Russell Wilson, I think the Broncos would have sold for, I think the trade for Russell Wilson made this happen a lot faster and a lot easier. And the fact that Peyton Manning is going to be heavily involved in this process.
I think more Peyton.
All, by all accounts, Peyton Manning was going to be involved in all ownership groups that were possibilities.
I think Peyton's a much bigger component than
Sure.
Russ Wilson. I don't think Russ Wilson actually matters at all, because at the end of the day, you're buying what is essentially a money-making machine. Whether you have Russ Wilson or not, it doesn't matter. You have Russ Wilson for 5 years, you still have a money-making machine afterwards. Are there any NFL teams that don't make money? I mean, that's the first question. And if the answer is no, then you don't need Russ Wilson. But yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it hurts though to be like, all right, we just traded for a franchise quarterback.
No, it doesn't hurt.
Like you feel like you're paying $4.5 billion and you don't feel like you're coming in and having to, like, you don't feel like you're coming in blind with a team that's going to suck and you're going to get made fun of. Like, you got Peyton Manning coming in to help you run this team, and you've got Russell Wilson now as your franchise quarterback, and you have this expectation that you're going to win, some games pretty early on. Like, you feel like you bought a stable franchise. It's the opposite of buying the Browns, basically.
I mean, the Browns
or the Panthers
could be stable, but they just choose not to be.
Well, they could be stable, or they could trade for Deshaun Watson and destabilize themselves.